Okay, so again, welcome everyone who's joining us today. I think we've got a mix of teachers, parents, students, and maybe some folks just from our usual community, and we're so delighted to have all of you here. My name is Katie. I am the Deputy Director of Operations and Public Engagement at the Walt and Esherick Museum. I want to start by just again and congratulating all of the students and the teachers involved with this year's show. Every year we're just in awe at the talent and the amazing creativity that comes to us when we put out this open call. So thank you all so much for being involved in it. We couldn't do the program without you. It was my first year managing Imprint, and I have to say that it was just wonderful to be on the receiving end of the communications with all of you as we're sharing all the news about the show. And I know all of us at the museum, I have a couple of my colleagues are on the line. Julie Siglin, who is the executive director, and Larissa Huff is here as well, who manages our communications. And we all really enjoy just the opportunity to have this as a way to engage with students. So today for the program, I'm going to share a little bit about how Esherick's prints are related to storytelling, and then we'll get into looking at some of the student works, of course. And I'll also start off by just sharing a little bit about the history of Imprint and sort of some of the changes that have happened over the recent years. We'll have a little time at the end for questions and conversation, so feel free to think of questions, think of things you'd like to chip in. We do have a chat, and if you want to throw stuff in there as we're going through the program, feel free. I would ask that during the little slideshow portion, if you could just keep yourself on mute. I think that makes the best experience for everyone as we're viewing that. And certainly at the end, if any teachers, students, anybody wants to chime in and talk about their work or anything that they're seeing, that's always a lot of fun as well. So why don't I go ahead and share my screen. Okay, everybody can see that? Yeah, okay, great. So without further ado, I will jump into the slides here. Imprint is now in its 15th year, thanks to an incredibly generous member of our community who helped to fund that and to generate the entire program with the former director. It's really been a cornerstone program of the museum, and one that recognizes both the important role that printmaking played in Esherick's life, but also how we engage and celebrate students continuing to work in the medium. Julie, I don't know if you want to jump in here and add anything or share anything about our years of Imprint.
Well, I'll just say that I'll echo what you said in the beginning, Katie, that every year, we really mean this, the talent that is on display just stuns us. Esherick's woodblock prints are some of my favorite categories of his work, and I see such inspiration reflected in these and such talent, and it really is a joy to do this program. So I want to thank the students for creating the work and submitting the work, the teachers for supporting them, their families for supporting them, and also to our donors and supporters for propping up the program and allowing us to do these types of events and programs. So thank you.
Excellent. Yeah, I mean, we can't say enough how excited we are when these submissions come in. I'm showing on the slide here just a few images to kind of illustrate how Imprint has grown and changed in recent years. So on the left there is our first place winner from Imprint 2018, and that was the first year that we introduced a theme to kind of tie all of the prints that we were receiving together. This student chose to do a wonderful kind of swirling space with Esherick's spiral staircase and then his horses, these large outdoor sculptures of horses. swirling through the composition. We had done that initially because we knew that that show was going to travel to the Philadelphia airport the following year. So it was an exciting kind of chance for us to grow the program a bit. And it's something that we've now continued to do. So each year we're having a new theme. This year, of course, the theme was storytelling. We also changed to a virtual exhibition format in recent years, which initially was precipitated because of the pandemic, but we quickly realized that it was an opportunity for the show both to have a broader reach and to have more students be accepted into it. Because if you've been to the Esherick Museum, you know our installation space was very, very small. So it kind of serves both functions in that way. We also started having guest jurors in recent years. And this year we were delighted that Lindsay Sparagana from the Print Center agreed to be the guest juror for Imprint 2023. If you don't know the Print Center, they are a nonprofit gallery in Philadelphia that really focuses on photography and printmaking through exhibitions, through publications, and through educational programs. Lindsay is the Artists in Schools coordinator there, which is a very exciting program. I encourage you all to take a peek on their website and learn a bit about it. Essentially, they are sending teaching artists into classrooms to work together with students and classroom teachers to build curriculum. And as much as it is about technical art making, it is very much a program that leans into mentorship experiences, and the sort of cultural, social awareness, avenues of self-expression, and other things that the student body that they work with really needs. So it's a really wonderful program. We were so grateful, and I really just want to give a big thanks to Lindsay again for serving as a guest juror. I know that she had a wonderful time looking at all the prints as well. So with that, let's jump into a few of the prints that Esherick did that are so clearly linked to storytelling. On this slide, I'm starting with the very first prints that he was making, which is for a book called Rhymes of Early Jungle Folk. So printmaking was really a very transformational medium for Esherick. He used it as sort of this bridge between painting and two-dimensional art making that he was trained in, and working sculpturally, working with furniture and wood in these larger ways. And beyond that material exploration, it was really a chance for him to just be free and play and explore in a medium that he hadn't been trained in. And so I think these prints, even though some of them are maybe a little more rudimentary than what he would do later in his career, they're so fun. They're so, yeah, just whimsical, energetic, off the cuff, really a lot of fun. On the screen on the left is one called Change, 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 which is related to the Ice Age. And you can see that nice woolly mammoth in the foreground there. In the center up above is Sabertooth. Again, that sense of just really quick mark making to capture that, tiger-like animal coming right towards you. And in that one also, you can see he's got the WHE for his signature. And then below that is a print called Swirling Planets. So the sort of beginning of our universe, maybe. And that was actually the end pages for the book. So really wonderful publication there. For the project, Mary would send Esherick poems and he would illustrate some. So it's a very direct, very much made for the stories project. From there, he was able to have a lot of success with printmaking. Once he had a copy of Rhymes of Early Jungle Folk in hand, he brought it to a shop that once stood in Philadelphia called the Centaur Bookshop. And they were doing a lot of small, well, they had banned books and they had small editions. They had artist-run books. Harold Mason was running this site, and he wanted to have not only a bookshop, but also a press. And so when he saw Rhymes of Early Jungle Folk, he invited Esherick to do the press's very first publication, which was Song of the Broad Axe by Walt Whitman. And so Esherick does the illustrations for that. You're seeing two prints from that. There's many more, of course, that we can't go through all in this short program. But Welcome Our All Earth's Lands is on the left there, and then Ship Struck in the Storm on the far right. So you get a sense of the breadth of printmaking that he's including in the book. In the center, I'm actually showing a hand-lettered and illuminated page, which was from Esherick's own copy. So in addition to the Centaur Press's publication, he made a hand-lettered and hand-printed version that we have the original of in our collection, and then we also have made reproductions of that we sell in our museum store. But I think just such a beautiful publication, really a wonderful thing to look through when you have the moment. He went on to do several other publications with the Centaur Press. So these are just a couple. Solomon Had a Vineyard is this print on the left from Song of Solomon. And then on the right is Yokohama Garland and Other Poems. And I just grabbed these two just to show the variety that he was able to achieve in his printmaking. On the left, you have, they're both sort of agrarian scenes, but on the left is sort of a rich, deep, more traditional way that we think of how printmaking can be used. And then on the right there, just this really delicate use of line. And I enjoy how here you have the image paired with the poem itself on the same page. On this slide, I'm just showing one more set of illustrations from an actual book where Esherick is pairing his woodcuts with someone else's words. In this case, it's from Amory Hare's Tristram and Isolde, which is this tragic love-torn story that's been told since, I think, the 12th century or something. So for Esherick's take on it, he has these, I think, prints that really show his interest and his place in modernism. They're very bold, they're very dramatic, really strong use of lines. It's not the kind of painterly wispy thing that's building up. It's really planned in a different kind of way. And you can tell that it's a dramatic story by the title. So you've got Silence, Death, Shadows on the left, and then I Have Brought Thee Grief on the right. So very dramatic. And I think actually some of his most beautiful prints. And then I'll just, for a couple last slides about his prints, I just wanted to share that, of course, it's not always about illustrating someone else's words. Esherick is really also telling the story of his own life in his printmaking. And so here I'm showing just a couple from that depict his family. In this case, they're both his daughter, Ruth. In the center there, you're seeing a print called Ruth in the Shower, 1924. She's just 2 years old in this print. So it has the kind of similar energy of the Rhymes of Really Jungle Folk prints, and that feels like the right match for a toddler's energy at bath time. On the far left is the block itself, so you can kind of see how, if you're not familiar with printmaking, how that process might happen, where you're carving away any area that you want to be white. And then on the far side, the Winter Play print, that's Ruth again, and she's sledding down the very steep hill by the studio here. So you can imagine if you were sledding, as she would later recall, it was a wonderful ride down that hill and a really long trek back up. But you can see that she's done it a couple of times by now based on how many footprints we see there. And then lastly, for the Esherick prints that I want to share, these two are a couple of friends of Esherick's who happen to be authors, although he's not illustrating their words in this case. On the left is the croquet game. Sherwood Anderson is the author that he was friends with, Anderson is the bottom right character there, and then Esherick is second from the left on that bottom row. But this is just depicting one of their habits at their get-togethers was to play a game of croquet, and they all have their different abilities, so they all have their different poses. And comparing how sort of fun and fast and whimsical that is with this kind of dramatic scene of Theodore Dreiser in his New York City apartment on the right. And just really appreciating the breadth of how Esherick could approach printmaking. I love these really extended shadows, this kind of forced perspective happening in his apartment on the right there. And thinking about, Dreiser has written really important American novels at that time, like An American Tragedy. He's shaping culture. He's on the edge of this new modern society, and the print really reflects that as well. So without further ado, let's talk about some student prints, because that's what we're really here to celebrate today. On this slide, I'm showing those first, second, and third place prize winners. Again, something I'll mention from getting to observe the jurying process is just the incredible variety in the prints that were submitted. And I think these and the honorable mention and viewer's choice on the next slide really show the different approaches that students took in both technical style and the way that they thought about storytelling, which was a very open theme for people to interpret. So for her print, Bella, the lunchroom, she's really courageously, I think, used her own story about anxiety in the school lunchroom to create this really exciting composition that breaks out of the frame and kind of brings you in as a viewer to question your complicity or your involvement in that interaction. In the center Rylan floral offering, I think in this case, they're kind of leaning into more of a symbolism, using the flower to evoke what their story of themselves is. And then on the far side, on the right, you see Melanie's print is really narrating her story and culture as a Chinese citizen, but by looking outward towards this ancient town street. And I should mention also that in terms of this technical difference, Melanie's is the dry point etching. So it's a different process than the woodblock that I showed earlier. And I believe it's the only one that's in the exhibition. So it's exciting to have that variety to share with people in this show. The honorable mention on the left here is Josie Michael's New World. This was really exciting in how controlled it was in that use of line, maybe almost like those Amory Hare, Tristram and Iseult prints. And also, this is white ink on black paper. So it has this kind of nice hazy hue to it, just by the nature of trying to cover light over dark. So I thought she did a wonderful job of kind of capturing the mystery of this New World expedition in that way. And then our Viewer's Choice Award on the right there, this is sort of as a contrast to Josie, is really rich with this detail. And these hands of the clock are kind of breaking the expected eternity of this. It's an Ouroboros symbol there. So, and if you don't know, I should mention also the Viewer's Choice is something that is voted on our Facebook page. So if you are thinking, oh, I want to be involved in the Imprint competition, you should next year head to our Facebook page and you can put in your votes for which print you think should win that. From here, I'm actually going to head right over to our Imprint page, because I do want to just take a look at the rest of the works in the show. You can see also, if you're looking, we'll share the link, and I believe we have already for this exhibition, but from here you can find it on our in our menu. You can learn a little bit about Imprint here, as well as read a little bit more from the students themselves about these prize-winning prints. And then below that, you can look through the entire exhibition. I really encourage you to do that, because there's just so much more than we could talk about in this short reception. But you see a lot of the same themes and things that Esherick was interested in coming back around and around. So they're kind of evergreen human interest. In this case here, you're seeing, you can see my, what I'm circling. This student has illustrated the poem, The Harlem Dancer by Claude McKay. So you can see a lot of different approaches to that idea of storytelling. In this one, we've got a cereal you know, kind of like a comic book strip, which was interesting that, you know, when you think of storytelling, not more people put it in that context. So we thought that was really fun. There are also a lot of nice color explorations. You can see this wonderful gradient here, sort of crossing the train track area, or in this case, this layering of image. And it's kind of, it just works wonderfully how broken and kind of antiqued it almost looks. There's lots of themes of nature. I think this one in the center here, see if I can enlarge it, a wonderful sort of portrait of the student in the center here, looking back into these branches, and you can see the birds heading off into the corner here. I think really a wonderful composition. And lots of personal content as well, lots of emotional kind of themes and stories that are looking inward. Lots of nautical themes, which I think, you know, is something true to Esherick's own story. You've got this, I think this one is a treat, but when I saw this one for the first time, which it's wonderful to see a print on colored paper, I thought, boy, that looks like it could almost be an Esherick. It's like right on target with some of his own sailing interests that he did off on the Jersey Shore. And certainly love stories. You've got a nice one over here with this couple across the clothesline here. Stories with a lot of personal symbology, which is what's happening in this path of hope here. So lots of great stories, untold stories, bedtime stories, all kinds of things. Again, I encourage you all to kind of spend some time with this. You can enlarge them. You can really appreciate the skill if you spend a little time with the exhibition on your own. With that, I will open it up to conversation. I would love to hear if anyone does have anything to share about the experience for you as students or teachers or parents. We would love to hear from that. And again, I'll just thank you all so much for coming and joining us today to be able to celebrate this. Are there any, and I'll go ahead and stop my share here.
Katie, Sandy Hughes. Hi, Sandy Hughes.
Hello.
Asked a question about how many entries we normally start with, how many we receive.
Yes. Oh, thank you so much. So we've grown a bit since last year. We had 127 student entries from 18 different schools. And this has also grown and changed over the course of Imprint, but we now, I believe it's 6 different counties, local counties that we open up to. So yeah.
And we're always looking to expand it more. If anybody on the program has ideas that they'd like to share about other schools or students that might be interested, we're always looking to expand it out because it is exciting to see it grow year over year.
Yes, absolutely.
It's mostly through schools as opposed to like individual students being able to submit on their own. I'm just thinking about, you know, like there's a lot of schools that don't even have art programs anymore.
Yeah, Sandy, you're tragically correct. Yeah. That's an interesting thought. Well, yeah.
Well, and you make a good point too, because we do, so the way that it operates, we accept the teacher is sort of submitting the student's work. Although we do accept like homeschool students can apply also. And the list that we have to contact teachers is very much based on art departments. And so that's actually a really good point, that there are probably other administrators and other ways that we could be reaching out to those schools that maybe don't have a dedicated art teacher.
Yeah, good point.
Any other comments or thoughts or things that any of the artists themselves want to share?
I just want to do a shout out to you guys for doing this show. It's really great. My kids have been really, really loving it for the last a lot of years. it also was great to be there. I forgot what year my student got first place, and it was still at the museum.
Mm-hmm.
And they just loved going through the museum with the little booties on. Without the docent, I talked about how, I had the docent a little bit, but I'm not a docent, but I've been there quite a few times, and it's just such an amazing resource. And my kids just love printmaking, watching the one print that's called Tree of Something. My student, Nora, she only cuts in wood. Last year when I showed her, I brought in a piece of plywood my daughter had cut at Bennington College, and it was, I guess, about 24 by 36. And I just brought the block in with some of the proofs. I didn't bring the final print because it was framed. And Nora's like, can you cut me a piece of wood? I want a piece of wood. I want to do this. And so she did another one. That last year's was really exciting, and she wanted to do another one. And I just remember, in like October, her on a work table, sitting on the work table on her block of plywood, carving away and pulling little corner proofs off of it. And that passion for that print, and then pulling it off with Aqua ink. It's so big. I mean, we happen to have a resource of some paper in the closet, some beautiful, beautiful, really ancient Strathmore that somebody donated like 20 some years ago.
Wow.
And trying to pull that print without a press, using a pin press and t-shirts. And so, but anyway, I applaud you for doing the show. It's great. Continue doing it. It's wonderful. It's great to see all the work. And Wharton's always been a big part of my personal life as well. So kudos. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mark. First of all, I love the wall behind you.
Oh, yeah, I'm in my sunroom. Those are my victims and mutants.
I love it. Yeah. That is such a cool effect.
My house is sort of a little museum, and like many artists. And so, yeah, they're the victims and the mutants.
I love it. If you'd like to engage with the museum and your students in other ways and have ideas, please reach out. We're thinking a lot about how to be a resource for educators and students in the area. Our challenges with the tiny space, and we don't really have creative space, but we're always trying to think of new ways to connect with schools. So thanks for chiming in, and feel free to.
No, one last thing was years ago we won a free admission. And then we went COVID. So I still have on the wall in the studio at school, like free admission for like 15 students. And I was wondering if that would still be okay.
Of course. You can just reach out to us and we'll make it work. We had a question, Mark, about where you teach.
Springfield, Montgomery County, not the Springfield on the other side of the city. We're a humble, small school of about 700 kids. 9th through 12th, we have 3 full-time art teachers. It's just a great school. It's a wonderful, wonderful place. I teach the AP program, Glassworks. I started a glass program there, sculpture and ceramics. We're very, very fortunate to have great kids. And that's your school. Awesome, Roberta. Cool.
Very cool.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. And we had a question from Roberta Presser about, it looks like most students do lino cuts, woodcuts, and her question is, what is the most unusual print materials used? Katie, and I'm not sure if we're going to know that. I suppose Lindsay might have.
So, yeah, I mean, I think actually and just, jumping off of what Mark was talking about with his student doing the wood carving, I would say that most students do linoleum cuts in school. And so when we have students that are actually doing wood cuts in high school, that in itself is actually kind of exciting, just because I think it's a challenge for classroom teachers to bring that in. This year we had that one dry point, which is always a treat as well. I can't think of any unusual print materials that we saw this year. I know I've seen in some years past, like there was a print that the figure in it had denim jeans on, and it was actually denim, like sort of worked into the material. Or in another one, I remember somebody used like old wallpaper as the backdrop. And then, it was working, with the concept of their print. So people do get really creative. Yeah.
Just one last chime, sorry to take over, but we were fortunate to get twice we won award money from you guys. My students did, and the school did as well. And so that money I invested into Japanese wood cutting tools. And so that gave us, because of you guys, we were able to do that, which was a beautiful, beautiful bonus. Okay, so I wanted to put that in because it's really important. And thank you for the money.
Mark, I'm going to pass that on to the primary supporter of this program who chooses to remain anonymous, but I have a relationship with that person and I will tell them that will warm their heart. Thank you.
That's fantastic. Sandy was just asking here as well about the guidelines for the exhibition. It is printmaking needs to be the kind of core of the project, but if there's collaged elements that that support the work rather than kind of shifted into really being about it's really being a collage piece or something, then we love that. We love it when kids get experimenting with all of these things.
Yeah, should be unlimited. Yeah. And in a way that mirrors how our annual juried woodworking show has evolved. It used to be very only wood, very literally thematic. And now, as long as wood is a primary component, you can use anything under the sun.
And those cash awards are still happen as well. So the top 3 winners are receiving cash awards, and the first place prize winner, which must have been who you had in your class that year, or a couple times, also the school itself receives an award as well. So that's a wonderful use of those funds.
It is, yeah, that's really exciting.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions or comments or things that anyone wants to share? Can we do a big round of applause for all of the students? Because I can see I know some of them are here, or their parents. Somebody's here. Well done.
And I'd also like to extend, to the all the finalists and the prize winners and their teachers. If you have not been to the Esherick Museum, please reach out to us and let us know, and we will get you there, and you will love it.
This is wonderful.
Thanks, Sarah.
All right. Well, it's our pleasure. We love doing the program, and thank you all so much for being involved, for joining us today, spending a little bit of your Sunday afternoon with us. It's been our sort of Wharton Esherick Museum tradition that for these virtual programs that we host, we invite you to unmute yourself and turn your camera on if you like, and give a quick wave as we all say goodbye.
There's Sandy.
And again, thank you so much, everyone. It's been a blast.
Good. Thanks for joining us all.